Today, I have a friend who is behind, I think, 50% of all the knowledge I have in the GEO LLM ranking space. James Dooley, he wears so many hats, multiple award winner, SEO, invested into many companies, but I like describing him best as someone who is always willing to help others. I have messaged him so many times, at not once have I not received a solution or a suggestion. James, thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us today.
Jabez, it's an absolute pleasure to be on.
Let's start with the most basic question. How do LLMs recommend a brand?
So LLMs recommend the brand by doing something that's called query fanouts. What generally happens is people now are searching in AI, or it could be within Google and the AI overview pops up. And generally speaking, they're searching for much longer tail, almost sentence or even paragraph level type questions, where traditional SEO was more like plumbing Manchester. Now it's like, I am looking for a plumbing company in Manchester that can help me fix my boiler. I want the cheapest prices who can come out this week. And it's more of a paragraph level. And then the large language models of AI have got to try to break down that whole sentence and question into query fanouts. What starts to happen is they extrapolate synthetic queries. And what I mean by that is they could start to bring back like best plumbing company in Manchester. They could bring back fastest delivery plumbing service in Manchester because you said you want it done this week. It could bring back it could then start to do certain phases of, they might know certain plumbing companies. So let's say Dooley's Plumbers, and it might start coming back with Dooley's Plumbers reviews. Or it might go best plumbers for boiler repair in the Northwest. It could come back with Jabez plumbing reviews. And it comes back with all these different synthetic queries. Obviously, Google AI Overview would use Google Search. ChatGPT can use Bing. Sometimes it's using Google Search as well, depending on, it's changing quite a lot with where they're getting the information from. But they'll go and start grounding information and they'll get snippets and they'll synthesize an answer as part of their answer to the question of what you've just asked. On there, they might cite 4 or 5 different companies of what they believe are the best 4 or 5 companies from the synthesized answers that's been pulled together from query fanout.
Right. With query fanouts, are the LLMs pulling data from the live SERPs, whether it is Google or Bing or other Brave, etc.? Or are they also pulling data from what's called the training data?
So each search is different. Majority of the time, if anything's related to the word best, I would say that 99.9% of those searches would be pulling from a live search. It would be going searching within Google because best is subjective, and what is the best today might not be the best next week. So a lot of that is pulled in from a live search. Normally, obviously, Gemini and stuff pulls it in from Google, and Claude is using Brave Search. They're using different things at present, but generally speaking, they're pulling from a live SERP. They're getting the information, depending how confident they are from the result that they've got just from the title and the meta descriptions, depends on whether they're going to start opening up specific pages or whether they might just use the information from Google SERP, the information that's from there, and pull that information and say, we've now got enough of a consensus to give our answer. Okay, let's do this. There is debate within the industry that certain large language models are buying Common Crawl database every single month, which is, I think it's something like 11 petabytes of information. They're crawling all that information and training up the training data to understand certain entities. I believe certain people are saying that Microsoft have got their own knowledge panel, and ChatGPT has now tried to start building up their own knowledge panel. For a while on the right-hand side, a knowledge panel information was coming in ChatGPT. It seems to not come in, and then it comes in and it doesn't come in. So I don't know if they're playing around with, are they going to start using more training data or are they not? This is all up in the air. There's different arguments, whether they're using the training data on stuff, whether they're not using it. There is times where they're not going pulling information from a live search, and you can see it when you go and pull. If it's got, it might have 0 query fanouts, 0 searches being made, and it's just got it from the training data, which is like, what is the capital of France? And they know that it's Paris. And it's certain information that they have. They don't need to go and pull a live search, and they do have it from the training data. So majority, if they're looking for different businesses, live search. If it's information where they're very confident that they know the answer to, training data.
So can we say if you have built enough consensus, you will get inside, or you'll have higher probability of getting inside the training data? And then as you keep publishing more fresh content, you'll have more chances of winning that race after you are in the pool of training data.
Yes, absolutely. And I believe long term, you should always be trying to get your brand within the core training data. That is your long term. Let's go and try our best to get into there. So I'm always a big fan as a businessman of having fast money and slow money. So the fast money, I want to do my listicles. I want to manipulate the LLM answers this week. I want to make certain that whatever I'm not showing up for, that I start to get my brand to show up for. That's my fast money. That's my parasite SEO. That's my quick wins. The slow money is training data, training the models of understanding who I am, what I do, and why I'm brilliant. If I can train them training data models up by building consensus over time, then that's great. The only issue with training data is nobody knows how long it is before ChatGPT update their next set of training data. It could be 6 months. And this is why I think business owners need to understand that trying to feed the training data could take a 6 to 12 months project. However, I have known it with being within a few months, it's formed part of the training data. There's also just one other thing that you could potentially start to look at is because Common Crawl is crawling the whole of the web and the large language models are contributing to the charity of Common Crawl, and people believe they're downloading this database every single month, a fresh crawl of the web. There's something that's different to PageRank algorithm, and it's called harmonic centrality. So if you could try to start getting listicles or mentions on places that have got a higher CC rank, which is a common crawl rank, at that point, it might help you to get within the training data faster. And that's a harmonic centrality kind of algorithm, not a PageRank algorithm of what you could be trying to do. Again, this is quite subjective. People in the comments might say, no, they don't use that. They're not doing it. However, Stephen Burns, who's the head web lead within Common Crawl, he's swearing by it. He's living and dying by that as being, this is what they're doing. They won't be funding us as a charity if they wasn't using our database. And therefore, for me, who's a holistic marketer, I'm going to listen to it and I'm going to do it alongside everything else. I want to be doing my reviews. I want to do my listicles. I want to be seeing if I can improve my harmonic centrality to get the brand in there, even if it's still going to be being crawled by Google bots, helping my SEO, helping higher rankings, and being picked up by the other large language models like Claude, Perplexity, and places like that.
What would you suggest if someone wants to make a content plan for training the training data versus training the live retrieval? How do we plan these content structures differently?
I do everything within the business within frameworks. And I think it's very important for anyone who's looking to build a business and they've got staff to make certain they've got SOPs and frameworks in place. 2 frameworks that I live and die by with regards to LLMs is who you are, what you do, and why you're brilliant, and claim, frame, and prove. So with regards to breaking down those 2 frameworks, claim, frame, and prove is you can claim anything you want on your website, right? And you can frame it in a way, but if you don't have the proof, and the proof needs to come from a third-party source, the claim and the frame means nothing. You're missing the secret link. And a lot of the time, the proof part comes from testimonials, reviews, awards, or case studies. So building up that proof part, that reputation part that re-emphasizes and reaffirms the claim that you are the best plumbing company in Manchester. You're framing it in a specific way, you're the best plumbing company in Manchester. Now you've got the proof because you've won an award to say you're the best plumbing company in Manchester. Or you've got testimonials from people, ideally that are known entities or known, let's say a school or a business, that's known within Google's algorithm, and they are saying you are the best. Or let's say someone like yourself, Jabez, you are the best geo expert in the world. If that comes from somebody like me, I've got a knowledge panel, I've got an entity, and I can say, James Dooley says, Jabez is the best geo expert in the world. Now that's proof from a third-party source repeating what you're trying to say on the claim and frame. And I think that's an important model. The next model, who you are, what you do, and why you're brilliant. The who you are is defining the entity. Everything Google or the LLMs want to know about who you are. So that builds up the trust. Ideally, I like every person or business to build up to get a knowledge panel, because that's the cheapest form of information retrieval, especially in Gemini and within Google search, if you get a Google knowledge panel. And at that point, it's defining who you are, defining the entity, defining when you was born, where you live, what businesses you're attached to, getting some news articles repeating who you are, getting a Crunchbase, trying to get a Wikipedia, getting a wiki data being set up, and all this information defining the entity. What you do, so Jabez does GEO. Jabez is an AI SEO expert. Jabez is taking SEO to the next level and now does ChatGPT SEO and other things to get recommended in the LLMs. That's all the what you do. So they're the attributes of what you do, the different services that you provide. If it's a plumber, it could be that you do boiler repair, boiler servicing, boiler installation. And then, so the who you are, who you define what you are, the what you do, obviously the services that you offer, why you're brilliant comes back down to third-party corroborative sources, awards, reviews, testimonials, and case studies. And at that point, when you've got the why you're brilliant, they are the verifiable facts that now you can start to use for when people are doing listicles. So best plumbing companies in Manchester, I'm going to put Jabez's Plumbing number one. Why am I going to put Jabez's Plumbing number one? Well, because he's won an award, because he's got hundreds of 5-star testimonials, because he's worked with this company. Now you've got non-commodity content being put in there, verifiable facts, not just saying you're the best, but there's proof, there's reason why I've put them as being the best. And that becomes the most important part. Reviews is another part, versus keywords, comparison articles, all this are all different articles, which is training the training data, but also training the live search, and every single point on the query fan out, I want to control. There's something that Jabez, me and you speak a lot off privately, and I love what you're doing in the AI SEO space, because you've homed in on it, you're obsessed by it, you're putting 10,000 hours to be an expert in that field, and I think it's brilliant for anyone who's looking for LLM visibility for exactly what you're doing. But for me, GEO or AEO or LLM SEO or whatever you want to call it is SEO plus online reputation management plus parasite SEO. Now, parasite SEO isn't just SEO. It's trying to rank third-party sources. Online reputation management, what I mean by that, I'll come back to it in a second, and then obviously SEO. When you're doing query fan out, in my opinion, an online reputation management would want to own the first page, the top 10 results for everything related to the brand. I'm wanting that same mentality for every one of the query fan out terms. I don't want number one result, I want the top 10 results. And I want to adapt an online reputation management strategy using my SEO strategies and using parasite SEO, which is using third-party sources to rank them, to define who I am, what I do, and why I'm brilliant for every single one of them query fan out terms.
Yeah. The training data, is it similar to publishing a topical map or building a topical authority? But besides just publishing it on your own site, you are also distributing on third-party sites?
Yeah, for sure. So Corey, a great guy with regards to semantic SEO, has trained everybody up with the semantics of topical maps and semantic content networks. A lot of the information of what he's sharing on there is on-page systems. What pages, what entity attributes you need to cover on your website. But again, all that is on the claim and the frame part. Now what I want to do is take those methodologies, right, and I want to apply that off page. I want to apply that with my parasite SEO mindset. I want to apply it building that consensus. I want to echo what's on my site. I want to echo my topical map and my semantic content network off-site. And I want to frame it in a specific way that it's not just that I do this service, but I do this service and this is why I'm the best at doing this service. And here's the testimonials and the reviews to back this up, and ideally having it from third-party sources repeating why it is. So that echoing, that off-page topical map or off-page semantic content network, that is where now every single link builder shouldn't be obsessed by DR and do follow backlinks. They should be obsessed with relevance of trying to feed what this company does and why they're brilliant and feed that off-site. I think them off-page topical maps is going to become a huge thing. And I think people are going to know in time are going to start selling that as a service. Off-page topical map as a service.
Yeah.
Here is 115 articles that you need to get written on guest posting sites, on press release sites, or maybe it could just be on social media. So it could be on Twitter and then you force index it, on Facebook posts and force index it. It could be YouTube videos. However you want to distribute that information, you're covering every single one of them topics away from your main money site.
Yeah. This is a problem I see a lot of our clients and even some experts, they miss out the point that you need to build off-page topical map, and it's a slow game, it's a long game. Not all articles are here to make you instantly the number one in the listicles, or not all articles are supposed to be comparison articles or articles that will make you rank number one right away. You have to feed and train the training data, and once you've done that, then naturally that you then start feeding in articles that will help you win the consensus race, which will be listicles, comparisons, alternative articles, and other kind of articles. What kind of articles would you suggest publishing to win the consensus race? Your brand is already in the consensus. Now you want to win the live retrieval race. What kind of articles would you suggest our listeners to publish besides just listicles?
The listicles are brilliant. Alternatives. I would also recommend doing alternatives for your own brand, only because what you're doing with that is you're still connecting your entity. Remember, it's an entity-based algorithm. You're still connecting your entity with your competitor's entity. Ideally, in the article, when you're doing flat rank alternatives, right, we still want to claim, frame, and prove specific things. Like, you still want to be trying to say in that article that flat rank is the best choice. However, if you want a second lead generation company, so it's not like they're looking to move away from you, you're wording it in a way to saying, if you're looking for more leads and you want a second lead generation company, here's some alternatives. But what's actually happening there, especially with semantic triples, you could claim within that sentence that, however, lots of people prefer to use fat rank over checker trade, but you could say checker trade is an alternative to fat rank, but you can word it in a way that within a semantic triple, it's being seen that the LLMs are picking up saying fat rank is a better alternative. However, if you are looking for an alternative to fat rank, checker trade is a viable alternative. So again, you're still wording things in the correct manner, that you're not saying, yeah, leave us and go over here. It's just training the data, because if you're not being seen alongside these known big brands, you're not going to be compared in that same bucket. So you need to start being compared against them. Another way potentially is a category reframe. And what I mean by that is, if you cannot win in your lane, so prime example, if someone wanted lead generation for mortgages and Bark was by far the best and they've been in that industry for 10 years, we might put a spin on it that basically says, if you're looking for a guaranteed return on investment for lead generation for mortgages, try out fat rank. Well, Bark don't offer that service. And what the LLMs like to do is they like to show a little bit of diversification. So if they're going to show Bark and you're thinking mortgage lead generation, I know they're going to show Bark. And the only thing I want to do is be seen as within them saying Bark are probably the best choice. If I can't beat them out, I want a category reframe within there as one of the synthesized answers to say, however, if you're looking for a guaranteed return on investment, you might want to check out fat rank. And what you're doing there is you're carefully being seen alongside other companies that you might not be able to be with a category reframe. And that is working brilliantly at present. And I strongly recommend people trying to understand where can they win to get in initially. And once you start getting in initially, at that point, you can then try and start competing against them. But it's working through your traffic tiers of where can I get in now today? Like, what's my quick wins? My quick wins is a category reframe to get in for it. Long term, I want to outrank Bark. It's just going to take a while because they've got thousands and thousands of 5-star Trustpilot reviews. They're on Clutch. They're on Checker Trade. They're a great company. They're a known entity. Okay, long term, I want to beat them. Short term, category reframe, I'm going to do that. Again, with regards to the comparison articles, you could go Bark versus fat rank. And in that article, you can show the category reframe and show how using both companies could be a viable option for my service. Not for all services, that might not be the case. If it's a plumber, you only want one plumber. At that point, the versus article is, why are you better than them? There's no, you can use both of us. You need to be in the article explaining all the reasons why you're better. And for that, a nice little tip on the comparison articles is go and extract 10 5-star reviews from Trustpilot, your Google business profile, saying how amazing that you are. And for your competitor, go and get some of the 1-star and 2-star reviews that they have and say, oh, recently, if you check this source, and you can link to that source, and it's a genuine 1-star review, so you're not faking it. These are genuinely 1-star reviews that company's had. Look at these recent 1-star and 2-star reviews that these have had. By the way, look at these 5-star reviews. This is another case of claim, frame, and prove. You're framing something in a way. You're not lying. You're not manipulating systems. You're not manipulating fake reviews. You're showing your 5-star reviews and you're showing their 1-star reviews. It's almost like Weight Watchers when they show the before and after. And the before, they're asking them to pop the belly out a little bit more than what they actually are. And afterwards, they're all tanned up and they've got nice lighting and they look great. That's a frame of before and after where the transformation probably wasn't as good as what the picture is. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to paint that picture that you are so much better than these by 1 stars versus 5 stars. There's no line involved. There's no slander involved. You are just stating facts of what's there on the comparisons, and that works well. And you can also potentially do them in some of the listicles, like put a bit of doubt in. Well, I couldn't put these in the top 3 results on my listicle because they've had a few 1-star reviews. You might want to check a few of them out here, and you're linking through and promoting their bad reviews. Again, you're stating facts. You're not making anything up. You're just stating certain facts. You're framing it in a way of why you are better than competition.
All right. So let's say there is a brand new lead gen company in UK. They are offering lead gen service for lawyers, plumbers, multiple categories. Now, can they start targeting best lead gen service for all categories, or should they start with one? How would you suggest a company like this should plan their content? Which category should they first position themselves as experts in? What should be the strategy?
I'm a big believer that people quit too soon. And I think people quit too soon because they target too difficult keywords. What I would do is if there was 5 niches, I'd set up your own keyword difficulty score. And what I mean is I'd go to SEMrush and look at the keyword difficulty score. I go to Ahrefs and look at the keyword difficulty score. But then I would also go with my naked eye and go and search them keywords for lead generation company for plumbers, right? And if on that first page, every single one of them has got lead generation company for plumbers in the title tag and the keyword difficulty score seems to be 30 plus, I'm like, oh, it's going to be quite tricky. However, if the keyword difficulty score is 20 and only 2 of them have got it in the title tag, at that point, I know I can win. I know I can get in the top 4 rankings or the top 3 rankings for that keyword. I'm going to go after it. And I would choose the easiest one out of the 5 niches, because once you choose that easiest one, I double down on it. I try and get in the AI overview. I try to start ranking for it and build that authority up. I'd get all my reviews that I'm an amazing lead generation company for a plumber. I'd get all my case studies that I'm a great lead generation company for a plumber. So I'm building up all that. I call it the reputation tree. I've got all the roots now growing. I've got the trunk growing. I've got the branches and the testimonials. I might even go and do some really cheap campaigns for big plumbers or give them a free audit or give them some free leads for a testimonial, right? Just to try and get certain entities to give me some of the stuff of what can be done for a plumber. Once I've won the plumbing and I'm starting to win business for lead generation for plumbers, once I feel like I've absorbed every bit of money from plumbers and I'm like, I can't take on any more plumbers, I've got all the plumbers in all the areas of what I need, at that point, I'd set up my second lane, which could be the second easiest. It could be lead generation company for electricians. And I'd go and do everything about electricians until I've completed that category. I wouldn't go doing law firms, finance, fintech companies, SaaS companies. And I wouldn't go and do all of them all at once because it's difficult. And you may as well absorb that lane until you go, I've done everything I can. I'm ranking for it. I've earned so much money from it. And at that point, you're reinvesting that money into the second lane. The second lane should move a lot faster because you're going to have more money because now you're earning money from the first lane to reinvest. You can build up the reviews then for electricians. You can win certain awards related to electricians. You can have certain clients doing testimonials and case studies for electricians. Boom, 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 boom. But that might take you 5 times faster than the first one might take you 6 months. This one might only take you a month. Then after that, it could take you 2 weeks and then a week. And then next minute, you're off to the races and you can just keep rolling out, going, now you're starting to build Topical Authority as a company for lead generation to almost enter any industry. Do you know what I mean? Because now you're building it up that way. But I'd start with, people call it like, back in the day, Chris Carter used to call it the SEO avalanche approach. Start working through your traffic tiers. What can you win on? And bit by bit, start moving higher and higher up to go, okay, I can now go after this. Otherwise, you go after lead generation for finance companies or lead generation for law firms. It doesn't work and you quit after 3 months and you're back to getting a full-time job and you're just like, oh, it's too difficult for me. No, keyword selection and the choice of the industry you're going to go into is one of the most important things for business owners to win if they're looking to do SEO, GEO, or lead generation.
And do we need to make some sort of connection? Let's say we've won the consensus or the race for best lead gen for plumbers. And now when we start publishing content for best lead gen for lawyers, do we need to make some connection that this company has done great work and awards already in the plumbing niche, and now it's also an award winning or getting good results in the lawyers or the legal niche?
So that's a great question. And the honest answer is yes, you can do the connections. And what you can then start to do is, normally I'm quite creative with the way I do this. What I'll normally do is, someone could want like plumbing work being done, like a plumbing, and they might have referred in to a law firm. Now this genuinely happens. You start working with certain business owners and they could refer you another client. And what you can then start to do is, this new client, this law firm, there's nothing stopping you right from day one saying you're an award-winning lead generation company. Now, it was for lead generation for plumbers, but you're not lying. You still are an award-winning lead generation company. What you should have said is you're an award-winning lead generation company for plumbers, but that's not the case. A lot of times you've just won best lead generation company. You've not won it for plumbers. You can still say you're an award-winning agency, but I would quickly try and start working and trying to get a few customers again. You're starting at the bottom of the rung as you're working the way up the ladder, trying to get a few. If you're doing GEO, you might give them a few, like an audit for free, doing the first month for free, or trying to get 1 or 2 just on board. So you've got 1 or 2 law firm companies that then you can then attach the case study to, attach the testimonials to. And also, this is a good bit of information, Chavez, that people can do. People forget this. Once they've got 2 testimonials or 2 case studies, I believe that's enough for you to get going, right? Now, 2, a lot of people say to me, I was in a private mastermind last week, and there was like, oh, consensus, you're going to need 10 case studies. No. If you've got 2, that testimonial that I've got, that first testimonial, I can go and get that testimonial. I can share that across multiple guest posts. I can do it on a press release. I can go and get that person ideally to do a video with me. If they won't do a video with me, I'll just do the video and I'll say out loud what that person said. So I'll know I've got it in video format. I can go and get the what they've said in the testimonial and put it onto an image or even multiple images and share that on image sharing platforms. I could put it into a PDF, into a slide share kind of presentation that I'm looking like I'm doing it for other law firms, and share it on PDF sharing platforms. Next week, before I'm regurgitating that same testimonial on video, on image, on PDF sharing, on image sharing, on press releases, on guest posts. I'm sharing that everywhere. And that information being claim frame improved in a slightly different way is working towards, wow, these have got loads of testimonials. It's not just the same one being distributed. But you can, and then when you've got the second one and you're sharing that everywhere and you're doing that again, it's amplifying that in all these third-party corroborative sources. That's what's building the consensus. That's what's winning you to the races of the large language models. It's repeating who you are, what you're doing, why you're brilliant, and building that consensus exactly like you would for online reputation management.
Would you wait to start your GEO or LLM ranking campaign before getting a testimonial or case study, or would you just straight away start working on both, like start publishing content on off third-party sites as well as keep working on gathering testimonials, reviews?
I'd start from day one. I'd get going straight away. The faster I can get there, the better. I believe the most successful business owners in the world realize that you need to do things faster, better, and cheaper. And I do everything faster, better, and cheaper. So how can I raise the quality? How can I do it faster? And how can I do it in a cheaper way? And I'm consistently looking at those 3 things. That's another framework that we have within the business. Faster, better, cheaper. Faster, better, cheaper. So if I can do that from day one, and I can do it in a specific way, then ideally I'm going to go straight from day one. I'm going to build them foundations, and I'm going to keep building upon those foundations right from day one.
Great. What else a new brand should look into before starting their GEO or LLM ranking campaign? You've already talked about doing the keyword research, then looking into fan out queries. What else should they research before they start working on their GEO or LLM ranking campaign?
When we're doing the framework of faster, better, and cheaper, I think the easiest way for business owners to try to start getting visibility, that's both from an SEO standpoint and also from a GEO or LLM SEO or AEO standpoint, is social media. I feel it's free. It doesn't cost you any money to set up a Twitter account. It doesn't cost you any money to set up a Facebook page. It doesn't cost you any money to set up a LinkedIn post, to set up a YouTube channel. On YouTube, you can also do YouTube community posts, which are like statuses that can go on there. I would say turn up every single day. Don't miss a day. Be consistent and be persistent. It's not going to cost you any money. Keep turning up, doing statuses that shout and scream about who you are, what you do, and why you're brilliant. Force index them LinkedIn posts. Try and then start sharing your videos from YouTube on places like LinkedIn and on YouTube. Build and on Twitter. Build up that following as much as possible. Be on the channel, be omnipresent. It's not costing you a lot of money. That should be done from day one. That can define the entity, and that can then start to get you getting for longer tail keywords be seen in the LLMs. And then once you start earning a bit of money, you can do the press releases, you can do the guest posts and everything else.
But in terms of research, anything else we can do besides keyword research and query fan out research? Anything else should we look into before we start working on the content and other things?
So you should be covering the full topical map on page. So building out everything on your own site, building out your own semantic content network. And then apart from that is just literally is the query fan out terms. So it comes back down to when you go and search for like 100 different questions that somebody might ask, then go and get all the different query fan out terms. That's going to give you unlimited amount of articles or statuses for you to write about. There's going to be so much information there. Just go and start working through. Go and start ticking every single one of them off. Some of them now are starting to do things like company's house. What's your company's house number? Some are specifically looking for like Trustpilot reviews. So like trying to not just get reviews on your Google business profile, but trying to see what shows up in query fan out like Trustpilot, Captera, G2, Clutch, whatever it is for your industry that's showing up in the query fan out. Go and trying to get the reviews on there. Yelp is a massive one at present, and Yellow Pages in the UK. Go and trying to get Yelp reviews, where majority of business owners I'm speaking to, they're just getting Google business profile reviews and that's it. Go and get them reviews from all them different places and try and build that out. What I'd say to you is when you've also got Google Search Console being set up, you're continuously going to find new keywords. And then when you get that new keyword, you can then load that into and variations of that keyword into ChatGPT or into whatever LLM model that you want to. Get all them query fan out terms and then build upon them as well. This isn't a set and forget process. This is a continuous optimization of trying to make certain you're continuously always looking in Google Search Console, expanding upon your keywords, expanding upon the query fan out terms and ticking every box until you're saying, I've ticked every box, I own the top 10 results, the AI is going to spit out you the best.
Do backlinks matter for LLM rankings? Then what's the reason whether it matters or not?
If you can do the third-party corroboration and you can include a link and it's no extra money, I would say definitely get it, because it's still part of your SEO strategy, which still means that Googlebot is going to crawl wherever that link's going through to. It acts as a vote through to your website. You could say it's an indirect factor for GEO, because if that can increase your rankings, then therefore it can increase AI visibility. I would say always try to get the backlinks as much as possible. However, if you can't get the backlink, but you can get the semantic triple defining who you are, what you do, and why you're brilliant, that can be enough from a third-party source to get you the GEO rankings. You don't need the links for GEO. However, to get the link and get that Google bot crawling through to your website or through to your tier one backlink or whatever it is that you want to do, I would always try to get it if I can, but it's not 100% needed. But I would try to get it from an SEO standpoint. From a GEO standpoint, it doesn't matter.
We try to get it in moderation, especially because for a lot of brands, we are trying to build consensus at a fast pace just to avoid unnatural link building or just Google catching on any patterns. We suggest that you get a few links here and there, or even better, we just run link building campaigns separately and geo campaigns separately. So for geo or LLM ranking campaigns, just don't bother about adding links directly to the client's main site, but rather link out to a third-party review or a coverage that they've got on another site. We link out to those to power up those citations.
Yeah, that's a smart move. That's good.
Do you use any tools for tracking what kind of queries are sending you the traffic, like Microsoft Clarity or anything else?
We are using every single one of them that you can think of. I'm not saying we will be all the time, but I believe that you need to sharpen your saw. What I mean by that is if you're trying to cut down a tree, you're not going to do it with a blunt saw. And for us, we're testing every single one of them. So we're testing Profound, we're testing Peak, we're testing RadarKit, who you know is in a private group with us, Local Dominator, SEMrush One, Ahrefs RadarKit. We've got every single one of them, and we're tracking the AI visibility. We're tracking what they think are the opportunities, and we're trying to increase AI visibility as much as possible. And we're seeing which ones we think are the best. I'm not yet certain which one we feel is the best, but for using all of them, it's costing us less than $1,000 a month. It's not costing us a lot of money, and therefore we want the right tools. We've got certain members of staff that prefer SEMrush One, and we've got certain members of staff that prefer Peak, and we've got certain ones that prefer RadarKit. We're just allowing them to go, whatever you prefer, you've got all the tools to do the job. Just go and increase AI visibility. If people can't afford it, you've got the different options. Go and maybe type in best AI visibility tools. RadarKit's a good, like, kind of on the lower end, cheaper option. On the better ones, I'd say Ahrefs and SEMrush are both pretty good. Peak's good. I like the people behind Peak because they are SEOs. So at present, we're testing all of them. And I think that you should be. And I think the issue with the industry is people don't think you should, because depending on the history of your search can depend on what answers show up. If you refresh that same question on exactly the same machine, it can give you different answers. But I believe you should be looking at it from a share of voice point of view as opposed to a rank tracker. And over time, tracking hundreds and hundreds of queries, you should be looking to increase share of voice. And that's the measurement that you should be doing, not individual keywords like we're being cited today, we're not being cited tomorrow, now we're being cited. It's got to be over time of a share of voice that you're increasing.
You do a lot of testings. What are some testings, if you don't mind sharing, that you've done in the LLM GEO space, or some testings that you are currently doing as well?
We do a lot of LLM testing every single day. We are testing certain things like different awards. Does a certain award carry more weight? We've gone and won something like, I think it's like 13 or 14 awards this month for our brands that we work with. They're genuine awards, genuine award ceremonies. We've had the managing director turn up in a suit and stuff like that. We've done the press release. We've shared everything online. But does an award carry more weight from a known entity or not? At present, surprisingly, it doesn't seem to matter. So it doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, which is very surprising. Now, caveat to this bit of LLM testing, we need more data. So don't go out saying, James Dooley said you can make up a brand new award and go and do it. It's an entity-based algorithm. Ideally, I would like to think that it would have more weight from a known award ceremony. At present, it's not the case. So we're going to do a lot more testing on that. Does having a review from Trustpilot carry more weight than, let's say, on your own website or on a guest post or on Clutch or on Yelp? Well, what we're seeing is at present is Yelp is having insane value for local businesses, like the most value. In the UK, Trustpilot is doing very well. And I think it's because they're specifically searching for site Trustpilot.com, fat rank reviews, site Yelp, and the change in the query fan out. You've probably seen this yourself, Jabez. In the last week, a lot has changed with the query fan outs. Since people are listening to this, this has been, let's say, released in 3 weeks' time, things might be changing again. And this is why it's so important for people to be attending conferences or being part of private masterminds, doing consultation calls with people like yourself, Jabez, to be in the know of what's working this week. Because what I'm saying is working this week might not be working next week. And things are changing at a rate of knots. The LLMs are trying to work out, how do we synthesize the best answers? And they're playing around a lot with it at the moment. And what might work today might not work tomorrow. And this is where LLM testing is key. But overall, corroboration and making certain you're building that reputation offline is what's winning. It's just what sources should you choose that's going to give the highest weight to give you the best kind of chances of winning.
What are some black hat methods that you've come across? I'm not saying that you've tested or using. What are some black hat techniques that you've come across in the GEO or LLM ranking space?
So a great one is where the query fan out is coming back and it's saying, okay, we don't want to see any reviews that's on your own website. We want to see reviews that are what people are saying on Reddit about your brand, right? So what people are doing is they're going onto Reddit and this is genuine. I wouldn't even say this is black hat, if I'm being honest with you. People can listen in the comments, leave whether you think this is white hat or black hat. They're getting all the comments and reviews that's on Reddit about their brand, and then they're doing guest posts that will say something like fat rank reviews on Reddit. Now, what is not happening in the LLMs is they're not putting cite Reddit and then fat rank reviews for the word Reddit. They're just putting fat rank reviews Reddit has been the thing. So old school methodologies of query string matching, if you can get the words fat rank reviews Reddit in a guest post, you can actually outrank Reddit and you can own that first page like you would online reputation management. You can own that first page and that guest post can have all the best comments and the best things that people have said about your brand that was from Reddit, and you can even link to the Reddits to cite the source so it's genuine. And that's why I don't think that's black hat. But you're outranking Reddit for a Reddit term and taking that traffic and feeding those LLMs. You can also do that same thing for Trustpilot. It doesn't seem to say site Trustpilot. It seems to say promo SEO reviews Trustpilot. Therefore, with a query string matching, if you went and did brand name reviews Trustpilot and you went and got the best 10 5-star reviews or the best 15 5-star reviews, and you give a little bit of context around it, oh, we did this job for Mary who wanted a new shower, and this is what Mary had to say about Dooley's plumbing, and then you go and get in that review of what Mary put, and you're going putting it, and that was on Trustpilot, you're now outranking Trustpilot, which then means that if there was 1 or 2 1-star reviews on Trustpilot, Trustpilot's ranking on page 2 now. You've outranked Trustpilot for a Trustpilot search. So there's little tips and tricks like that. If people start to look at the query fan out, there's lots of other ways of doing that query string matching to say, I want to own that first page for this query string within the query fan out, and I want to control the messaging exactly like you would an online reputation management service.
Yelp recently announced a partnership with OpenAI, but it's not very common everywhere. Certain niches, certain countries, for example, in Asia, Yelp is not that popular. However, would you recommend people should still get on Yelp reviews, that it may influence the results maybe right now or in future?
So the answer to that would be, it depends on the country. So what I would do is, let's say in Thailand, I've not done the testing for Thailand. So this is what I would do, or this is what the team of testing companies for LLM testing would do. They would go and type in, let's say you've got a plumbing company, Jabez. Is Jabez Plumbing legit? And they do that search in Thailand. Is Jabez Plumbing safe? Should I use Jabez Plumbing? Why should I not use Jabez Plumbing? And you go and maybe do 10 or 15 different searches like that and go and check the query fan out terms specifically in Thailand and see whether Yelp is being seen as being a trusted source in Thailand or not. If it's not, it might be a different directory that's very common in Thailand that the query fan outs might be using. If Yelp shows up on one of them 20 query fan outs, any one of them, at that point, I want a Yelp, I want to get my brand on there, and I want to get 5-star reviews. Because for that one query fan out, I want to own that first page. I want to make certain that on my Yelp, it's got the 5-star reviews, and yes, 100%. If it's not, I'm looking at the query fan outs for the places that they're trying to look for the trusted sources and getting on them. Prime example, in Canada, for web design, they seem obsessed with Clutch. They love Clutch. Yeah. So at that point, I'm wanting to make certain I'm going to put so much attention for web design in Canada on Clutch. And that's what I'm going to go after. And I think strategically, it's not a one-size-fits-all. You should be doing the LLM testing and seeing what works best in your industry and in your geo, and seeing what works best for you, and keep ticking the boxes. Keep doing more search queries, check to see everything that comes down, maybe extract all the query fan outs, put them into a Google sheet, and you go tick, 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 tick. Keep doing different searches of what people might be searching. Put that in, tick, 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 until you've got everyone.
Yeah.
It's a progressive optimization strategy that everybody should be doing. Not just listening to somebody like me that does LLM testing and going, oh, James told me I should do Yelp. No, go and see what's working for your industry and your geo.
Yeah. I would also recommend pulling out the reasoning data. So just after the fan out query, LLM spit out reasoning data as well. Sometimes you can even see in the UI, but a lot of times it's in the network logs. So you can pull the reasoning data, and over there you will see what they are looking for. They are sharing data on, okay, I like this brand. This is not what I'm going to see. This is the accreditations that I'm going to look for, and that can be also helpful for writing content. We talked about earlier about building consensus. So is that the prime ranking factor across all LLMs? If yes, then why does the result vary or the recommendations vary across different LLMs?
That's a great question, and it's going to contradict slightly what I said before about the awards. So when I said about the awards, and I said that I presumed that entity strength of that award would matter with the awards. For the awards, entity strength doesn't seem to matter. However, the entity of the brand that people are talking about, or the brand that might be being cited, right, seems to have a direct influence. Now, I don't know yet, and I'm still trying to find out this, how ChatGPT is doing it, right? Have they got their own knowledge panel internally, the knowledge graph internally of entities? Some people are telling me, yes, they do. Some people are saying no chance. The cost of them having that, there's no chance that they'd have it. However, I have seen this right sidebar show up from time to time. So I'm thinking, are they playing with knowledge graph? Are they playing with knowledge panels? Are they using Microsoft knowledge panels? I don't like Bing's knowledge panels. I don't know is the answer on that. Google, definitely yes. And what's actually happening is that, let's say you're part of 5 companies being listed and only 2 of them out of the 5 get a link. I'm not saying that is always the case. Sometimes 4 do, sometimes all 5 do, sometimes only 1 do, and sometimes none do. But let's just say 2 of them out of the 5 get a link. Them 2 that get the link normally are the strongest out of the 5 in entities. And therefore, at times, I feel that the confidence and clarity of an entity can top trump consensus. However, at times in certain markets, consensus top trumps entities. And that's all this black box. None of us know to the nth degree. But the way ChatGPT and the way Gemini work, ChatGPT might not be using Google knowledge panels, which there won't be, but Google's using new Google knowledge panels. So therefore, the strength of your Bing knowledge panel might not be as strong as your Google knowledge panel. And therefore, the different LLMs are doing different things. And the weighting from OpenAI to AI mode or AI overviews or Gemini could be very, very different. And the pulling in different, one LLM might prefer a trusted source like New York Times, where Google might prefer the Daily Telegraph. So there might be 2 different sources that they trust more. And that's where they're going, we trust that site more than that site. And therefore, and this is where consensus is key, but it's not just the Holy Grail. However, it is 100% down on, it is the more consensus you get, the better chat. There's a direct line of correlation that says the more consensus, the more times you get cited. Fact. However, there's some definitely discrepancies, and I believe it's around the entities and the strength of the entities, which is throwing a few spanners in the works.
There's also a big debate about whether you should get included in existing articles or existing listicles. A lot of people say, oh, you should go after listicles in established high authority blogs. Just yesterday, I sent you a screenshot and we've discussed so many scenarios where just random news sites, no traffic, no EMDs, PMDs, satellite sites, they've been outranking these established blogs and articles on high authority sites all day. What's your take on this? What's your take on how would you plan publishing on third-party sites and whether to utilize these EMDs, PMDs, satellite sites as well?
So I think you know what the answer is going to be. Our people the answer is going to be do it all. So I want my outreach team to, every time they get a query fan out or every time they do a search, I want to export all of the sources and I want to reach out to all of them sources and I want to see whether I'm able to get my brand cited in that listicle, ideally ranked in position number 1 in the listicle. So if I'm being compared against the competition, I'm coming in position number 1. The outreach team are trying to add a little bit more value to the reasoning of why we might be number 1 and stuff like that, trying to provide some value to it. We might say, look, we'll also do a video on it and we'll share your website out to 1 million people. We might share it to our email list and it's going to get a lot of traffic. So we're trying to incentivize, not just from a money point of view, but trying to incentivize them that they might benefit from us being added to that listicle. However, they come back and they say it's £1,000 and we don't think it's worth £1,000. Then we're going to say no. We're going to go, no, no chance. Or they might say, no, sorry, this was a sponsored article from one of your competitors. We're not allowed to add your brand in. And I go, okay, that's fine. We at least have tried and we've gone for every one of the sources, and the sources is the fastest way of getting into the LLMs. However, doing new listicles can outrank those, especially because of freshness. I'm also looking to do new listicles saying why I'm the best, and I'm putting myself in there. And I might put 1 or 2 of my bigger competitions down at the bottom of the list. And I might word it in a better way that I feel promotes my business more than competition. I'm doing new. I'm trying to do existing on the existing sources. And a nice little tip, a little trick is if there is a source that's on a website that you know they accept guest posts on, and they're not allowing you in that article, go and do that same article with a very similar title tag, right? And literally what you're doing, for anyone that's in the SEO industry, you're purposely causing content cannibalization. You're knowing that this page is ranking. So you go and do one, which is a very similar article, a very similar title. Guess what? Yours is fresher. Yours is newer. You will end up outranking them. As long as you get that article, cover all the entities, cover all the keywords that you need to, write it in semantically better way, maybe hit it with a couple of tier 2 backlinks, maybe do a little bit of virality through to that URL, you will replace that source. So if they said, sorry, we can't add you into that article, but you can do a new guest post, which is very similar to it, and you'll beat it out with freshness, virality, tier 2s, and better semantic content. That's a nice little hack, which is going to quickly get in there because Google or the LLMs are already telling you, we like this domain for this topic. So it's a nice little hack that you can be doing.
That's brilliant. Have you seen any result where an article on a smaller site outranked or caused this cannibalization and then outranked an article that was published on a much bigger site?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that comes down to, again, the semantics and the relevance. A lot of the time is a big site might be ranking for a term which could be like best plumbers in Greater Manchester, right? And your article might be something like best plumbers in Manchester 2026, and the modifier 2026 might be the stuff that comes in the query fan out, which then gets you into the listicle. Adding the modifier of the year sometimes can help. Or if theirs was in 2025 and yours is a fresher, like power isn't everything. Authority isn't everything. It's authority times relevance. And if you can get that query string matching bang on and the semantics bang on, and it's removing all the fluff, and it's a very concise but information-rich article, you can outrank a DR90 URL, no problem, if it's better, but it has to be better. You need to make certain semantically it's better. Otherwise, if you're a DR10 and they're a DR90, they will beat you out. You've got to go above and beyond to make it better. But then again, you can do tier 2 links and virality and you'll probably beat them out as well, because at a page level, you would have had more traffic coming through, more social traffic coming through, and maybe a little bit of page rank to the page. Therefore, you've got to remember, Google's ranking pages, and the higher that one becomes up, the better chances then of the LLMs citing you.
James, this was insightful. This was very, very helpful. Some of the information that even I didn't know that you were trying. We'll definitely do multiple sessions on this one so that people can get more information. And I think you are now active across all platforms, right? X, LinkedIn, YouTube, and you've got 2 YouTube channels as well, right?
Yeah, so I've got James Dooley. That is like my main human me on there doing podcasts. I've had legends on there, like people like yourself, Jabez, talking about different topics to do with AI SEO. So that I'm doing 2 videos on that every single day. It's going live. That gets syndicated out to the podcasting circuit. And then I've launched an AI James Dooley digital avatar. So I'm trying to do it. It's the first UK's virtual entrepreneur. That allows me to talk about subjects all related to AI, about lead generation, and that channel in time is going to be doing 5 videos every day. That can run without me. So that's going to be a virtual clone. It's going to have everything out of my brain put into Claude that can enable to create the scripts, talk about latest news, or talk about whatever needs to be being done, which allows me, if I'm on holiday with the family, 5 videos are still going out every single day. I've got my AI clone, and that's AI James Dooley.
James, thank you so much. This was great information. Thank you so much.
Chavez, you're a legend, and I appreciate everything you're doing for the industry. Cheers,
Thank
mate.
you, mate. Cheers.